Hi and welcome back to the EdTech District. This video is going to be all about the Classwork tab. So let's go right there. By clicking on Classwork, we can create a bunch of things, and the first time you go there, when it's all empty, Google will tell you that you can assign work to your class here. You can create assignments and questions. You can use topics to organize classwork into modules or units, and you can order the way you want students to see it. Now, the way I prefer to do things is I set the topics first, kind of like a basic structure of my class, and then all the materials, all the assignments that are going to come up next will be set or will be put into these units. So I'm going to go ahead, click on the Create button, and create my first topic. And in my case, topic number 1 or unit number 1 is going to be text analysis. We add this topic. So this is our unit number 1, text analysis. Maybe I add another one, because as I said, I want to get the basic structure right and then fill it with content later. So unit number 2 would be, let's say, language topics, whatever your unit number and unit is. So now that we have a second one in there, Google tells us now we can drag and drop classwork from one topic to another, and we can drag and drop things in the way we want students to see. So if you prefer unit 1 to be on top, then you can just simply grab it and drag it above unit number 2. So now that the basic structure is in place, let's fill this with some content. And to do that, we click on Create. We have a number of options, and I will just show you the easiest one or the simplest one. That would be adding some material to your units. So we click on Material, we give it a title. In my case, I want to show my students some example candidate responses so they know what a good paper looks like. I click on Add. And in my case, it's in my Google Drive. That would be example candidate responses. Click on Add, and it's added as material. It could be a PDF, it could be a picture, it could be whatever file you want to share with your students. If I don't have anything yet, I could also create either a docs, slides, sheets, drawings, or forms, and it will also be attached to this. Then I can choose the topic I want to attach it to. And in this case, it's about Unit 1, text analysis. And I want to give it to all the students. I could also specify individually for which student by clicking on their names in the boxes there. But for now, it's for everybody. Then I can post it immediately. Or if I click on the little arrow, I can schedule a post for later, I can save the draft, or I can discard the draft. But for now, let's just go ahead and post it right away. And there it is, example candidate responses. Now you also notice that the title, or the topic title, and the material itself, they have the 3 dots, which means we can do stuff with it. When I go to the 3 dots next to the unit title, I can rename it, I can delete it, I can copy the link, or I can move it up and down if I don't want to drag and drop. For the material itself, when I click on the 3 dots, again, I can edit, delete, copy the link, or if I had more stuff, move it up or down. When I click on it, then I can view the material, see what it looks like. But this is still all in the teacher Google Classroom, or it's the teacher's view. So let's see what the students see. Switch to our student account, and we can see that the stream was updated. So we want to show the updates. And it says here that Demo Teacher 2 posted a new material, example candidate responses. Now, it shows up like this because we wanted to have condensed information about new assignments. So if the students want to know exactly what's going on, then they click on it, and they see the material right here. If, however, you want the students to see the material right away, then in our teacher account, we would go to the settings, and under general, where it says classwork on the stream, we would go to show attachments and details, save it. And now if we post classwork, then let's go back to our student account. Not sure if we have to do it again or if it will show up right away. Right, so since we changed the setting, not only does the student now see the material topic, but also the attachment is right there. So they don't have to click on it. It just makes it a little easier for students to see things immediately, because sometimes they just read the title and don't realize that there's actually an attachment. You also notice that the student has received a new email, so let's go ahead, check it out. Now the inbox says new material, example, candidate responses. So we click on that. It says Demo Teacher 2 posted a new material. And when we click on open, it will bring us to our Google Classroom, and it will open the material that we have just posted. And if I want to view the PDF, I would just have to click on it. So we close this one again, archive this email, and go back to our Google Classroom as a teacher. So this is how you share materials with your students. The next thing we can create, when we click on create, is a question. Now, if we click on it, we can ask the question right here. For example, we say, what are the features of a good text analysis? I can require a short answer, or I could do a multiple choice question. But for now, since this is an open question, I would prefer the short answer option. I could give instructions. I could again add a range of things, or I could create a couple of things if I wanted to add something to the question. Then I can assign a point value. In this case, however, when I click on the arrow, I choose ungraded. I can choose a due date, for example, tomorrow or whatever. And on the topic, I will move it to unit number 1. Do I want students to be able to reply to each other? Yes. Maybe they improve each other's answers. Who knows? Can they edit their answer? Yes, I think that's a good idea. And when I'm ready and I've set everything, and it's for all students again, when I'm ready, I can ask the question immediately, or again, by clicking on the arrow, I can schedule it, save the draft, or discard it. Now let's ask the question and see what happens. So now the question shows up over here. You notice that the icon is different. Material icons look like this. Questions look like this. Again, I have the 3 dots. So if I wanted to, I can edit, delete, copy the link. Now I can move it down because I have another one over here. Or I could just grab it and drag and drop it somewhere else. Put this one up here so I can change the order of things. Close this one, make it a little bit smoother. So let's see what the student now sees. Go back to the student account. Again, the stream was updated because I'm still in my Google Classroom. Whenever something is updated, then students will get a notification in real time. So let's show what the update is. Demo teacher posted a new question, and it's an assignment. Okay, what are the features of a good text analysis? Let's see. It needs to be good. And we turn it in. So there are 0 replies. If I wanted to, I can see the classmate answers, or I can edit my answer, because that's what the teacher allowed me to do. And it's turned in. Notice that before it was assigned, which tells me as a student that this is something I have to work on. But now that it's turned in, I am done with my work. Let's go to our inbox, because apart from the notification in the stream, the students also receive an email saying that there's a new question that we can open and answer. Let's archive this again. And we go back to our teacher account and see where the answers are actually stored. So we have asked this question. When we click on the assignment now, we see that one student has turned it in, and it's still assigned to one student because my class has 2 students. So let's see, if I click on turned in and I want to see the answer, then I see that demo student number 1 has turned it in, and demo student 1 says it needs to be good. All right, well, I can reply to that and say, can you expand your answer a bit? And post a comment. I can also see that demo student number 2 hasn't turned it in yet because it's still assigned to that student. Let's go back to the student account because demo student number 1 received an email. It says demo teacher 2 replied to your answer. Oh, what does the teacher say? The teacher says, can you expand your answer a bit? And I can click on the blue reply button to reply to the teacher. Let's archive this again, go back to our teacher account, and let's assume demo student number 2 still hasn't turned in the work. It's been days and there's still no work. What do? You could select the student and you email the selected students, which will then open your email account. And you can now send an email to that student right away from Google Classroom. But for now, we discard the draft, but we could send an email to that student. Then once we're happy with demo student number 1's answer, which is turned in, we now return the work with another comment, and we say, okay, or well done, whatever you want to comment, and we return. Returning means that it is now finished. So we have graded the work and we have returned the work to the student. If we had assigned a point value, we could have chosen a point value and returned it to the student, but for now, since we didn't choose a point value, there's just a tick box. So we returned the work. That means this cycle is now done. We have checked the work, returned it to the student. You can also see now the statistics have changed. 0 people have turned it in. 1 student still hasn't turned it in. It's still assigned to the student. And 1 is returned, which means we have checked it and given it back to the student. Let's see, in our student account, again, because we added a private comment, the student received an email about that. Well done. Okay, great. And the student also gets a notification that the work has been returned, which tells the student that this cycle is now finished. Archive. The next kind of classwork that we can assign when we click on the Create button is a quiz. So let's click on that. Give it a title. Just click this away for now. Give it a title. Just call it quiz for now. We could add some instructions. We can add material again. We can add something from our Google Drive and so on. Or we could create some material if we had to. But as you can see, since we told Google Classroom that we want to assign a quiz, it automatically added a blank quiz to our assignment. And if you have worked with quizzes before, you know that you can assign point values to each question. And Google Forms can automatically export the grade or the points that somebody had in the quiz into Google Classroom. If we want to enable that grading or the importing of grades, then we have to enable this setting, which is enabled by default. So let's go ahead, open the blank quiz, and just add 1 question for now. Of course, we don't want to call it blank quiz. We just call it quiz for now. quiz, just that you see that it actually changes. Our question is, how do you like the class so far? Option number 1, great. Option number 2, good. There's no bad. Answer key, you get 1 point if you say great. Done. So you see that this whole form doesn't really make a lot of sense. I could ask the same thing as a question, as I showed you earlier. I mean, this is just so you guys can see what's possible by assigning a quiz. And I've just done 1 question so far. So total points is 1. I don't have to do anything anymore. Once I'm done with my questions, I can close this, go back to my classwork, and the points are 1. I can set the due date again. I can choose the topic. It's for unit number 1, text analysis. I could add a rubric and originality reports, but I'm going to show you those 2 things in the next bit, not for the quiz. I could assign it again to individual students. And again, if I click on the blue assign button, I can assign it immediately or schedule it, save it, or discard it. For now, we assign it immediately. See, it will take a little bit. And then here's my quiz. So when I click on it, you see that the name has changed. It's not called blank quiz anymore. It's just quiz like we specified. And you can see that 0 people have turned it in, but it's assigned to 2 students. And again, if we go to the student Google Classroom, you see the stream was updated. Demo teacher number 2 posted a new assignment, quiz. So again, it's assigned. It's right here. I also should have received an email about this one. Yep, here it is. New assignment, quiz. I can open it from here. Maybe let's try it this time, opening it in the email. In the meantime, while it's loading, I will archive this email. And here are the assignment details. So we can do the quiz. How do you like the class so far? Great. Submit. All right, I can view the score and so on, open the assignment, but I think for now I'm done. My work is now turned in. I can talk with my teacher if necessary, add a private comment that no other student can see, only my teacher can see it. But as you can see, I'm done with the quiz and it's already turned in. If for some reason I made a mistake, I could unsubmit it and then do it again. So let's close this tab because I'm done. Close this one as well. Go back to the teacher classroom. And you can see that it's updated in real time. 1 student has turned it in and it's still assigned to 1. So let's have a look. If I click on this turned in, I can see that demo student number 1 has turned in the quiz, but there's no grade yet, even though I enabled the import of grades. To import the grades, I have to click on the button on the right-hand side that says import grades. Are you sure you want to import grades from quiz? We'll overwrite the current grades in Classroom. Yes, I want to import the grades. Takes a little bit to fetch all the stuff. And now you can see that my student, demo student number 1, has 1 out of 1. So the score has been imported from the Google form. And to finish the cycle of assigning work, I select the student and I return the work. Maybe I can leave a comment. Again, I say, well done, good job, return. And by returning the work, the student also knows that now the assignment cycle is over. The teacher has looked at it, the teacher has given me a comment, this assignment is done. So again, if I go back to my student classroom, the stream was updated with the quiz. I turned it in and I received again 2 emails. One that says my quiz is graded. I got 1 out of 1. That's good. I archive this one. And I got an email saying that my teacher replied to my quiz. The final type of classwork that students can do is called an assignment. So we click on create and then assignment. And assignments are things that the students have to turn in. It's kind of like a worksheet that at the end of the lesson, the student hands it to you. As a teacher, you would mark it and then you return it to the student. Kind of like a quiz, except that it could now be a Google Doc, it could be a slideshow, it could be any kind of document that the student produces. And the way this works is we give it a title first. And in this case, it's about the Maze Runner. So we just say the Maze Runner, language analysis. We could give some instructions if we wanted to. And now what I want to do is I want to provide a template to my students. And the students would use the template to work with and then hand in their text using my template. So if I show you my template real quick, it looks like this. It's a simple Google Doc where I have the opening paragraphs of the Maze Runner. I have my task right here, comment on the language and style of the opening paragraphs of the Maze Runner. Then the text is over here. And then I want my students to write their comment right below here. Okay, so that's my Google Doc. I set that up. In an offline setting, you would probably print this and then hand it out to your kids. They would write their answers on the sheet of paper and then give it back to you. We can do the same thing paperless in Google Classroom. So let's close this tab, go back to our Google Classroom, and we want to add a file from Google Drive because it's already in there. That's this one, the assignment. We add that. And Google, if I use it for the first time, Google tells me that there are a couple of sharing settings that I can choose from. So there are actually 3. The first one is students can view the file, which means all students will have view access to this one document. So you could have your entire class look at the document. At the same time, you can still change things within your document. You as a teacher, because you're the document owner, you can still work on the document and the students can basically watch you do that. Then the second option is the students can edit the file. And again, it's this one file that's being shared with all your students. So let's say if your class, or in my case, my class has 2 students, that means both of them will have edit access to my document. Or the third option, which is what I want to do right now, is I want to make one copy for each student. So that means each of my students will get their own copy to work with, and they only see their copy. So that's what I want to do, because I want them to write their answer in the Google Doc. If I hadn't made a copy for each of the students, then they would be able to, well, work on the same document at the same time. That would be a real mess. Then I can assign a points value. I will have to check the rubric first. I'll set a due date, maybe on Wednesday. Okay, topic again is unit number 1, text analysis. And now before I assign the work, I want to include a rubric. And since I don't have one yet, I want to create a rubric. I will use the scoring, yes, order descending, right, criterion, title, and so on. Now, this one looks a little complicated, but I'm sure you have already worked with rubrics in the past. And the good thing about rubrics in Google Classroom is that you can reuse them, which means you create them once, and then you can reuse them for a bunch of different assignments, depending how general they are. Now, most likely you've worked with rubrics in the past, and the one that I have right here is from Cambridge International AS and A level. And that's the one that I would like to use. And you can see that the rubric has 6 bands. There are 15 marks per band available. I have 3 criteria, and each criterion has a bunch of grade descriptors. And the way I set this up in Google Classroom is the criterion title, which is here, for example, knowledge and understanding. I would copy that in here. Knowledge and understanding. Criterion description, I don't need that one right now. The only problem that I have is that you can only have 10 levels right here, whereas I have 15 marks. So I would just either not assign any scoring, or I would use 15, 12, 9, 7, 5, and 2, for example. I mean, that's up to you, but you have to know that right now we're limited to 10 levels per criterion. So that's a little bit of a downer. I still want to use scoring though, because I want to show you how it works, what it looks like. So I'm just going to go to band number 1, 15 marks, and then this is my description. So that goes in here. We order points by descending. Okay, so we get 15 marks for band 1. The description is right here. Then you get 12 marks for band 2, and the description is here. 12 marks, band 2, description, and I'm done with the first criterion. So you can see I have my 6 bands. They all have point values assigned, and that was all about knowledge and understanding. My next criterion is analysis of language effects. So I copy that over. Then I need to click over here. This is add a criterion. So that's analysis of language effects. And I will do the same thing. So band number 1, 15 marks. If you do this, let's see, 15 marks, band 1, description. And I'm done with my rubric. And you can see that each criterion is 15 points, and Google automatically adds them up to 45. So the entire assessment is going to be out of 45. And as I said, the only disadvantage of this rubric now is that the original has 13, 14, and 15 marks for band number 1, whereas I'm limited to 10 descriptors, where I would actually need 15 because it's 15 marks. So this is something that you have to, well, solve on your own, how you want to do that, or adjust the rubric accordingly. I can also, when I click on the 3 dots for each criterion, I could also duplicate the criterion or delete that, move it up or down to organize it. But for now, my rubric is done. I have the 3 criteria, I have the descriptors, I have the points, everything is there. So let's save the rubric. And we're back to our assignment. So the rubric is now attached. It's 45 points. So that means I probably have to change this one to 45 as well. And in this case, I'm also going to include originality reports. With originality reports, I can check, and the students can check before they hand in their work, whether passages from the text they are about to submit are taken from the internet or not. So it's a good plagiarism checker. So we have 3 assignments with originality reports left in our Google Classroom, so you have to use them wisely. We continue. And it's going to be for all students. Assignment is there, just double check that everything is there. Make a copy for each student. It's for unit number 1, it's for all of them, points 45 and so on. And we assign the work. So now that the work is assigned, each student gets their own copy. It will show up if we switch to the student view. It will show up in the class stream. Let's see how long that's going to take. There you go. Stream was updated. Let's show. Now there are a couple of things that make students aware that there's a new assignment posted. So the first thing is that it shows up in their stream and the rubric is there. So as a student, you can click on the rubric and you see the rubric. So before you start working, you know what the points are and what gives you the most points. So you, as a student, you can go through the rubric. It's very transparent. And you also notice that because I set a due date, it shows up now on the left-hand side on top of the stream. So the student now knows, okay, due Wednesday, this is the assignment. So I can click on it and I can see the details, hand in my work and so on. Another way that Google Classroom tells the student there's a classwork coming up is it sends an email, as always. Every time something happens in your classroom, an email notification is sent out. So now the student is informed that there's a new assignment and the student can open it, get the details and so on. For now, we can just archive it because I wanted to show you the hamburger menu. When you click on to do in the student view, then the student can see that on Wednesday, this thing is due, June the 3rd. That's for all classes. When the student clicks on the calendar, then they can also click on today or whatever. For next week, June the 3rd, the assignment will be posted here. So it's a good way for students to stay organized, to check the calendars once in a while. So right now there's only one assignment in my English class, but if other teachers also assign work, then it will show up in the student's calendar. So let's go back to my Google Classroom and let's open this assignment. So this is now what the student sees, and Google tells the student that when you're ready to submit all of your files for this assignment, remember to turn it in. That's really important. Right, got it. So this is now the student view of our assignment. There is the title of the assignment. If I had written a description, it would show up over here too. And the rubric is here one more time. So the student can see how many marks they can get. I can expand it. I can read the rubric one more time, make sure that I'm following all the instructions. And now I can start my work. And the way I do that, you can see, because as a teacher, I told Google Classroom I want each of my students to get their own copy. Right? So now demo student number 1 has this file ready to work. So if the student clicks on the file, it will open the Google Doc. And this is now the student's copy. I understand. This is the student's copy, and I can write my comment over here. Okay, so you can see the student has written their work. It's ready to go. And there are two ways the student can hand in the work. They can either click on Turn In right here, or since we enabled the originality reports, it's much better to run the report because we have 3 out of 3 available for the student. Run the report, and now Google will check the originality of our text, and it says there are no matches found, which tells the student that the work is original. So now we're good to go, and we turn it in. So we click on Turn In. It says that one attachment will be submitted for the maze runner. Yes, turn it in. And there it is. It says my work is now turned in. When we go to the teacher classroom now and open the assignment, you can see the one student has turned in their work. And since the deadline has still not come, they would still be able to change a couple of things. And let's say our student remembered, oh, I forgot to add an introduction. What do I do? If I just click on the document, I see that I have only view access because it's turned in. Turning in means that the ownership of the document changes from the student to the teacher. So once the work is turned in, just like a worksheet that's given to the teacher in the classroom, it's now, the ownership is now with the teacher. So if I want to edit my document as a student, I would have to unsubmit it first. And then that way I basically take it back. And now when I click on it, then I can edit my document one more time. So let's say I want to add an introduction, because I forgot that before, and I found a really good one on Wikipedia. Let's add that one. Close this one. Run the originality report one more time, because I have 2 out of 3 available. Let's see what it says now. Takes a while to run. Uh-oh. View originality report. Remember before it says that nothing was found? And now there's a report available. Let's see what it says. It says that there's one flagged passage. If I click on percentage, it says, what? 41% is flagged content. That is not good. And where does it come from? Wikipedia. So when we scroll down, we see that Google has found that this thing is taken from wikipedia.org, 41%. So I can check as a student, I can check that, okay, this is my passage, this is the top web match, and well, Google has caught me red-handed. And I haven't cited or quoted anything, so that is not good. So as a student, I would have to edit this one more time, and I would then have to add a quotation or whatever I want to do. For example, I could say, according to Wikipedia, the Maze Runner, and so on and so on and so on. So now it should be good to go. Let's view the report one more time. I think we have to run it again. So let's go back, close this one. I've changed my document. We run the originality report one more time. That's my last run that I can do. Let's see what happens now. The moment of truth. So we have to view the originality report. And now it says there's no flagged passage, but there's one cited or quoted passage. So now Google knows that this passage is still taken from Wikipedia, but at least now it's quoted or cited, which means it's not very original. But you can see that this workflow helps the students realize when something is taken from the internet, and therefore they have to appropriately cite or add quotation marks, and when their work is original. However, I have to be honest with you, it doesn't catch everything. For example, those 3 paragraphs at the bottom, I took from lit charts, and as you can see, Google is very good catching Wikipedia entries, but some other websites will not be found. So even though it's some help for the students, I think it can still be improved. So let's close this window again and turn in our work one more time. So once we turn in our work, just like before, when we go to the teacher account, so we can see when the student took it back. It's now not turned in. Let's see if I reload the page. Let's see what happens there. One is turned in and one is assigned. So I can see demo student number 1 has turned it in, demo student number 2 still hasn't. So if I want to start grading, then I would open the document that student number 1 has submitted. I understand. So this is now the file that student number 1 submitted. Here's the here's the comment. And Google also tells me that right now there are no flagged passages. However, you can see when I hover over it, it says there's one cited or quoted passage. So when I open the originality report, I see the same thing that the students saw before. So I can close this again. Then, if I wanted to open this document in a new window, for the sake of readability, I could do that too. So I click on that pop-out button and I can see the document in a new window. By default, I have suggesting mode switched on. So for example, if there were any kind of mistake in it, then I would just suggest things. For example, according to, if I want to add the website, then it would be suggested to the student. And it would add a comment at the website. So whatever I type right in the text in suggesting mode, then whatever I edit becomes suggestions and will be added like a comment. So I can go on and grade all of it. I can highlight things. I could directly edit if I don't want to suggest, but edit directly, I can do that too. If I want to see the word count, I would have to view the menu by clicking on that little arrow. Let's say I highlight the passage that the student has written, click on Tools, word count, okay, 171, that's good. So I will do my marking over here. And once I'm done, I can use my rubric right here to assign points. So if you remember, I set up my rubric before out of 45 points. And the first criterion was knowledge and analysis. And I have my descriptors over here. And as a teacher, I can now decide which descriptor would be the most appropriate one for the student's work. So just for the sake of showing you, I would just select band number 3 over here. Then for the next one, analysis, I would probably select band number 4. And then for organization, I would select, well, it's paragraphs, so yeah, clear structure, okay, band number 4. And if I close this one, then you also have a visual representation of the marks. And you can see that Google adds up the marks automatically. According to the rubric, my student now gets 23 out of 45. I could now add a private comment if I wanted to. Post the comment, for example, don't copy too much from the internet. Post it. And then I could return the work. One thing I wanted to show you that is a tremendous time saver is the comment bank. So if there are any mistakes that your students tend to make repeatedly, and you just find yourself writing the same comments over and over again, then you can create a comment bank. And you can access this by clicking on this comment button over here. Then there will be a short introduction. You can save comments to add to later. It will explain how it works. So for example, if I just find that my students keep copying things and that's something that I tell them all the time, I would add a comment over here by clicking on the comment icon. Don't copy from the internet. Click on comment. And now when I click on those 3 dots, I can add it to the comment bank. And the next time I want to use the same comment, I would just maybe highlight something, click on comment, use the pound sign, and then there's my comment, don't copy from the internet. If I had a lot of stored comments in my comment bank, then I can start typing, for example, #copy, and it would list all the comments that have the word copy in them. So for now, I select this one, don't copy from the internet, comment. All right, how about this one? Same thing again. Hashtag don't copy from the internet. Comment. So that's how you use the comment bank. You can use as many comments as you want. It's just a good way to streamline your workflow. Saves a lot of time, especially when you find yourself, as I said, typing the same comments over and over again. And it's not just now for this one student. The comment will be saved in the comment bank for the entire assessment. So if you switch to the next student, which you can do by clicking on this arrow over here, you go to demo student number 2. You can see it's still assigned. He hasn't done anything yet. You can use the same comment. So if I select this one, click on comment, hashtag don't copy from the internet, comment. Done. Then apart from those arrows, you can also click on this little arrow and see or sort your students' work in any way you like. When you have added some comments to the comment bank and you clicked on this comment bank icon, then you see all these comments in your comment bank listed, and you can copy to the clipboard, edit it, or delete that. So by clicking on comment bank, you can manage all your comments that you have stored. So let's say I'm done with demo student number 1. I have, according to my rubric, so let's go to grading. According to my rubric, I've given that student band 3, 9 points. It's this one band 4 and band 4, 7 and 7 points, 23 marks. The grade is 23 out of 45. If you're interested, I can change the total points from here, but for now, it's all good. I can return the work to the student, or if I click on the arrow, I can return multiple submissions if I wanted to. But for now, I'm done. I've written a comment, and I'm now going to return the work, which means it ends the assignment cycle for this assignment. If I close this window now, or close this tab, and go back to the assignment, then you see that 0 have turned it in. I'm still waiting for 1, and I have now graded 1 student. So graded means it's done. So even if I select it, you can see the return button is grayed out. I cannot return it anymore because it's already graded. 23 out of 45. So let's go back to our Google Classroom, because you also will see when you go to the Grades tab now, that this assignment and all the other assignments that we have created before, they are all added in the Grades tab. And you can see that demo student number 1 is doing all the work, completed, and I've returned the question, the quiz. That student got 1 out of 1. And for the Maze Runner assignment, 23 out of 45. So the Grades tab, once the assignments are set up, is a great way to see all the grades for all your students, and you can immediately see which students are falling behind and which ones are performing well, because Google also tells you the class average. You can sort by last name or first name, whatever you like. And let's say we have an issue with demo student number 2. They just don't hand in the work. What can I do? I click on the name, and I see a history of assignments which are not done. There's this email button now. I can type in a message and include the student work summary. And I can say, please don't forget to submit your work. If you need any help, let me know, and so on. Include the student work summary, and I send it. And this will now send this, including our message, to the student email account. You know what? Because I have demo student number 1 open, let's send some positive messages to demo student number 1. So I click on the name, then the email button. I want to send it to the student. I could send it to the guardians or to both of them. Maybe I select both so you can see what it looks like. and I say, you did very well this week. And I include the student work summary as evidence, and I send my file away. So while this is going on, in the meantime, let's have a look at the student account. There are new emails, as you can see. So the first one is that demo teacher number 2 added a comment. Don't copy too much from the internet. That's what we have done before. Okay, I can archive that. Then the student can see that it's graded and it's returned. The student can see that they have 23 out of 45. If they want to see the details, they can open the assignment and have a look. There you go. So they can see the rubric. One more time, they can see what the teacher has selected. So the student knows, okay, this one was band number 3 in terms of knowledge and understanding. Then band number 4 for analysis and so on. So the students can see exactly what the basis is for the grade. Now, if the student opens the document, then if you remember, we added a couple of comments, and those comments are visible right here as well. And my first comment was that I wanted to add the website. Okay, as a student, I would say, yep, not a bad idea. I accept that. And don't copy from the internet. Right, fine, caught me there. I will mark that as resolved. Okay, done. So this work has been graded. I'll go back to my emails. Let's see, I archive this one. And remember, we sent the progress report, if you will. You did very well this week. And here is all the work attached, or the summary attached of what I've done. Very nice. If you look at the Guardian email account, they got the same thing, progress in English. You did very well this week. And as a Guardian, I can see what my child has done. I can see the grades. I can see what's complete or incomplete. A couple of things at the end. The students can click under classwork. They can click on view your work, and they see everything they've done so far. They can see their progress, and they can see the grades. They can see what they handed in, and they see what's assigned to them. Let's say this student decides that 23 out of 45 is not good enough. It is possible for a student to resubmit an assignment. So the student would open the assignment again or view it. And then depending on whether you provided the template or not, they can use the template or add or create their own file. And then they can resubmit their work. And when they resubmit their work, then it will be turned in again. Let's see what happens. It says it's already graded, but now the teacher would receive an email. Let's go back to our Gmail. The teacher would receive an email saying that demo student number 1 has resubmitted the maze runner. And then I can open this one more time. And depending on your classroom policy, if you allow resubmissions or not, then you can grade it again. So the old grades are already here. It's marked as resubmitted. And if necessary, you can adjust the grade. You can grade it again and then return the work. So let's say the student has done a better job than before, and we allowed the resubmission, then I would give them a higher band. As you can see, the grades are updated here in real time when I change the rubrics, and I return the work, just like before. It also displays the previous grade below the new grade. So that's about resubmissions. The next thing I wanted to show you is when we go back to, we're already here in student work. You can export the grades for one assignment or all the assignments. And you need to be on the student work page of the assignment you want to export. So right now I have 2 grades over here, 30 and 32. I click on the gear wheel icon, and I can decide if I want to copy all the grades to Google Sheets, download all the grades as CSV. All grades means the grades of all the assignments that I gave. Or if I just want to download these grades, which means the grades for this one assignment. So I'm going to show you the first option, copy all grades to Google Sheets. This will run a query and export all the grades and display everything neatly in a Google Sheet. So you have the class average right here. You have names, email address, the quizzes here, all the assignments that I have given this year or in this Google Classroom, and you can see all the grades on one piece of paper or in one file. Then this file, you might be wondering where it's stored. It's going to be in your Classroom folder on Google Drive. So when you click on the Classroom folder, you see that the grades are exported and it adds the date. So it's always clear the time when you exported the grades. If you download the CSV, then you would have to open this file with Excel or any other program that can handle CSV files. You can also access your gradebooks very quickly from your dashboard by clicking on this arrow icon, which will open the gradebook for this class right away. So you don't have to go into the class, click on the grades tab. It saves you a couple of clicks. You can see the grades over here. The same goes for students. So if I switch to my student account, by clicking on this icon that says open your work for English, right from the dashboard, they can quickly get access with one click to their progress in this class. If you set up an assignment online in your Google Classroom, but the student hands you a physical piece of paper because for some reason the internet didn't work or the computer is broken, you can assign a grade or you can award a grade by just simply typing the number over here. So they don't have to submit a file in your Google Classroom to be awarded a grade. So let's say demo student number 1 just gave you a piece of paper because the computer didn't work. You check the piece of paper and you give that student, 89 out of 100, which is then saved. And if I select the student and I return the work, it will give you a warning saying the assignment isn't done yet. Are you sure you want to return it? Yes, I am. And now, once I have returned it, then the mark will be saved, 89. It will still say that it's not turned in, but you do have the piece of paper as evidence. So just to make sure that everything is in place, we can go back to the grades, and you can see that demo student number 1 got 89 out of 100, even though they didn't turn in the work in Google Classroom. That's all I have for now. I know grading is always the most tedious aspect of our job, but I hope I could make your life and your students' life a little bit easier. Thanks for watching.